It's August of 2025 and I'm at the Essex Steam Train and Riverboat in Essex, Connecticut. The railroad operates steam excursions along the beautiful Connecticut River Valley out of the station here in Essex. It's almost 11 o'clock and the first train of the day is due to leave in just a few minutes. The engineer is busy preparing the trip and is currently performing the time-honored ritual of inspecting and oiling the engine before the day's run. He will not only thoroughly check the engine for any defects, he will also oil every single moving part on the engine to ensure that the day's run goes smoothly. Our engine today is number 3025, a 282 Mikado built by Tangshan Locomotive Works in China, and subsequently modified to resemble a New Haven Mikado by the railroad. It is one of the railroad's 3 engines and the most common to see on this line, although next year it will be taken out of service for a federally mandated inspection. The station at Essex is one of several restored stations on this line, a stretch of railroad once owned by the New Haven but abandoned in 1968. Today, 14 miles of track have been restored, about half of which will be used on today's run. Soon, it's time for the train to leave, and with the guests on board, 3025 pulls its train out of the station. A little ways out of the station, tracks round a sharp curve over Old Deep River Road. The train is accelerated to track speed now, although trains typically only reach 20 miles an hour on the line. Tracks now run close to Highway 154, and soon 3025 crosses Dump Road near the highway. From here, the highway and tracks diverge as the railroad follows the river. We next catch up with the train at Dock Road, where the grade picks up and the engine is forced to work a little. Because the route is so flat next to the river, there aren't a lot of places where you can hear the engine working hard, and so the few that exist are popular with local rail fans like me. Just north of Dock Road, tracks cross a small bridge over a creek. I can hear the engine working before I can see it, as it's still fighting that section of steep grade. A little to the north again, the tracks cross Ferry Road. The restored Chester Station stands here, although it's not much more than a shack to shelter people from the rain. The train will run a little farther north of here before turning around and reversing south to Deep River Landing, where there's a passing siding that allows the engine to run around its train. Historically, this has been a major boat launch site for the town, and small craft are still launched from a small slip near the water. Also here is the Essex Steam Train and Riverboat's claim to fame, the last surviving steam train to riverboat connection in the United States. The Riverboat is a modern boat named the Becky Thatcher, and passengers will board her for a river cruise before taking the train back to Essex. From the top of the rock cut, I can see the tail end of the train crawl forward toward the siding. The train stops just before a switch, and a flagman throws the switch, then walks to stop cars from entering the grade crossing at the foot of the siding. With the tracks clear, 3025 pushes its train back into the landing.
Down below.
3025 brings its train to a halt and passengers begin to disembark to board the riverboat. Red flags are placed on this end of the train to indicate that it is now the rear of the train, and 3025 is then uncoupled from its train and prepares to pull forward. Notice the hand motions the brakeman is making. These are a way of signaling to the engineer without having to use radio communications, a throwback to the steam era. 3025 now pulls forward to clear the switch. The brakeman throws the switch and then checks the points before giving 3025 permission to reverse back to pass its train. .3025 then couples back onto its train at the far end of the siding and is now ready to lead the train back to Essex. Just south of Deep River Landing is a large marsh which tracks run alongside of. 3025 is back underway heading south and can soon be seen flying along the marsh shore. A few miles south of here is Rattling Valley Road, the site of another grade. 3025 is taking the grade at speed and can be heard working quite hard from behind the trees. Back at Essex Station, another group of passengers stands waiting as 3025 pulls the 11 o'clock train back into the station at the end of its run. 3025 must now run around its train to get back on the consist head end. Once again, it must uncouple from the coaches. Before running backward to clear the switch. Then it runs forward past the coaches to the head end of the train. The switch onto the siding is thrown automatically by springs, and once the brakeman checks to make sure that the points are good, 3025 can reverse back towards its train. .3025 stops a little before the coaches, allowing the conductor to connect a water refueling hose. He then adjusts the couplers to line them up. And then 3025 reverses back the final few feet and couples onto the train. Engine 3025 will repeat this process twice more today, hauling tourists up and down the scenic Connecticut River Valley. I spent the whole day filming, but all that footage has been combined together into one trip for this video to allow you to see the full picture of the railroad's operations. A special thank you is due to the crew of 3025, as well as to Walker C. Railworks, who I met at Essex and who told me about both the bridge photo site as well as the grade at Ratland Valley Road. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like or a comment to let me know that you enjoyed the video, and maybe even subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on the next video. As always, thanks for watching everyone, and have a fabulous day.